Blade Runner 2049 stars Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford, and is directed by Denis Villeneuve. This film takes place quite a bit after the first Blade Runner, like 30 some odd years I think, because the first one was 2019. We're almost there, don't you worry, I'm eagerly anticipating it. I just can't wait till replicants get here. That's what I need in my life, I think. And in this film, the rules have changed a bit since the first Blade Runner. They are still making replicants. The rules and like the views on them and how they're perceived by the public is a little bit different. They are coexisting now, more or less. They still can be a hazard and a problem, which then requires the Blade Runners to have to deal with the replicants. But Ryan Gosling is doing what? How do you describe this movie? It's like almost 3 fucking hours, and so much of it is like spoiler nonsense. What do I even want to say? Nothing. Why do I bother? Okay, IMDb, save me. A young Blade Runner's discovery of a long-buried secret leads him to track down former Blade Runner Rick Deckard, who's been missing for 30 years. Sure, and that's just vague enough that I don't have to ruin this amazing, incredible, fantastic fucking movie that might be the favorite thing I've ever seen so far this year. Yeah, but before I gush about this one and just spew nothing but love all over the walls, and then I'll have to clean it up. But let's talk about the first one for a minute. I watched that a few days before I saw this new one, and I was a week late on it, sorry. In Canada, Thanksgiving's in October, so the weekend this came out, I had to go do family shit. I know, how disappointing. But so I watched the first Blade Runner, and that one, like right after watching it, I was like, so that's the cult classic everyone loves and hails as the greatest thing ever? Okay. I wasn't really blown away by it. I didn't really buy into it as this amazing thing, but there was a lot to appreciate, but I also felt like it was kind of a meandering movie that had interesting ideas that some of which didn't even go anywhere, and it was something that I appreciated what they were going for, less than what they actually ended up achieving. But then as like time had passed on the movie, I like warmed up to a little bit, but then by the time I was sitting down to see this new one, I was thinking fondly of that first movie. Only a few days and I had like a fonder feeling for it. And then after seeing this movie, I felt better about the first one. Like, thank God there's that, because that led to this, and like interesting ideas and themes were able to be carried over and improved upon and expanded in a better movie, in my opinion, by far. Not that I don't like the first movie, I'm just mixed on it, but on the positive side, I'll have to watch it. It's one of those movies you gotta watch a bunch of times and then eventually you get used to it, you really appreciate it. But right now, I do like it, but this new one, come on. First off, we got Ryan Gosling, who's my man crush, like always for life. Ryan Gosling is the man to me since forever, because like I think about when Blade Runner came out, like everyone, Harrison Ford would have been the man, and nowadays to me Ryan Gosling is that. He's the man. I'll see anything he does. He's awesome. He's fantastic. And Ryan Gosling's character in this movie, he's a really interesting character. He's a Blade Runner and all this different stuff going on in his life. His love story, his romantic interest in the movie, I thought that's an interesting idea. There's a lot of stuff where it's ideas that are stuff like they did in Blade Runner, but it's just, it works better here. It's expanded upon better, or they approach it from a different way where it just works better. Anna de Armas, who plays his like romantic interest in the movie, his girlfriend, I thought that was a really interesting idea, and where they went with it I really appreciate. This movie has some of his best Ryan Gosling, really stoic, silent staring off with all the internal emotions. Like he does that so good in Nicholas Winding Refn movies, and he does it great here. I love Ryan Gosling. He's so subtle. He can play so many emotions with just a look and a blank-ish stare, where you just get all that's underneath his surface, all the sadness or anger or confliction he's going through. Ryan Gosling has to explore a lot of inner demons and personal feelings. There's a lot he's going through in this movie, and he's riveting to watch. His character really gets taken on a journey that I got invested in very quickly, very intrigued where it's going to go, what it would mean for him, his career, his whole life, all this and that. It was just, I was into it totally. And then Harrison Ford was not in this as much as I thought he would be. I was like, the movie, once it was going for a while, I was like, oh, they're gonna make us wait, and when they use him, it'll be a lot less than I might have originally thought. It's the Ryan Gosling show. This is so much of Ryan Gosling, and I'm happy about that. But when Harrison Ford does show up, he's great. He's awesome. He's unlike the Indiana Jones movie. This is more of his Star Wars, coming back to Star Wars as Han Solo, where he's returning to an old beloved role, and he's just going to be awesome, and he just settles into it really nicely. Feels right at home as Rick Deckard again, and he's just a lot of fun. And he also gets to expand on his character from that first one, some of the very interesting ideas of where it left off with him. We get to see pick up what's happened to him since and how he's changed. And I liked it a lot. I appreciated where they took his character. He gets to be the grumpy old crotchety guy that wants to punch people out, but also he, much like Ryan Gosling, he has an emotional story, an emotional arc in the movie that he's got to go through. And it was really touching. Him and Ryan Gosling both have moments that are just super touching, and it's like, am I crying? No, yeah. And then let's talk about some other characters in the movie, because we got like Jared Leto in here, and he was like barely in this movie. I thought he'd be in a lot more, and I will say, like, his function in the movie, I didn't need more Jared Leto. I don't want more Jared Leto, to be honest. Maybe I'm still bitter from his Joker, but yeah, like, I was fine with the amount we got. He was a weird, a very eccentric performance and character. I'm like, okay, yeah, very little function in the actual movie, but it was fine for what it was. Then we got like Robin Wright, really good, but not used a whole lot. We got Batista in here, Dave Batista, he was really good. Sylvia Hoeks in this movie was fantastic also. She was one of the real standouts, besides Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford. I thought she was really awesome in the movie. She was a badass, and I liked her quite a bit. So overall, all the new people that came in were fantastic, wonderful additions, and all the returning old characters from the original, every time there was some kind of callback to the original, I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm like, I like it enough, it's okay. But when they did callbacks, for some reason I was just like really excited, like, oh shit, like I got very giddy about it. It was weird, but I was happy that the movie was able to make me excited about another movie that I didn't particularly love. It was just like, here's a callback, and I was just like, I love it. I'm a fanboy suddenly. What is happening? So the acting's great, and Denis Villeneuve, this guy as a director, I love everything he does. Enemy, Prisoner, Sicario, Arrival, I love this guy's work, and in this one, this felt like so much of his sensibility. If he's gonna do something like in a franchise, not that Blade Runner is a big franchise, that's a very artsy, hard sci-fi movie, not easily accessible. It's one of those weird dramas, art movies you really gotta get into. But if he's gonna do something like that, a sequel, this feels like something that fits his sensibilities very well. This is a very dark, slow-moving, dramatic movie. It's a really hard sci-fi mystery, because the sci-fi, the elements of, oh, cool technology on this and that, where they furthered from the first movie in this desolate future where it's all dark and rainy and there's just advertisements everywhere. The whole look of the movie is perfect, and his sensibilities for how he does filmmaking, the cinematography, the slow pacing, the deliberate long pace of the movie is almost 3 hours. The mystery takes a long time to set up and play out and solve, and the whole like noir feeling of it is just perfect. It was wonderful. I'm usually not a fan of mysteries or like detective films or noirs when it feels like they're really drawn out and taking forever to get to the point. But this one, I was like hypnotized, like, take as long as you want. Take the extra 15 minutes, make it a full 3 hours. I want more. Like, I was just that into it, waiting to see the deliberately slow-paced build-up of everything, the tension, the payoff for every little scene. It didn't really feel like, even though it's such a long movie, nothing really felt wasted. It all felt like it added to an overall masterpiece that I was just hypnotized by and wanted more of. Just keep going, I don't care. Another 10 minutes of Ryan Gosling staring, looking very sad and conflicted. I want it so bad. The lighting of this movie is beautiful. The cinematography, because it's like very drab and dark. It's dark Los Angeles in the future, it's always raining, but then you get great neon where it's all pink or all blue, or like a deserty area where it's all orange, and it's just beautiful. Every single shot in the movie is a masterpiece that you want to mount on your wall in a big ass frame. It just looks beautiful every shot. And the cinematography really helps, because if I'm gonna watch something for almost 3 hours, it needs to look good, and the movie's beyond good looking. It is beautiful, it is gorgeous, it's one of the best looking movies, best shot. Everything about it was perfection, so I could sit there and just stare at it in awe for so long because it looks great. And the story itself, how it played out, and like I said, the way it's like paying homage to the original, continuing, expanding upon the themes and ideas, it's all improvements. There was really nothing I could think of as, well, that's less good than the original. I like everything more this time around. Everything just felt like they did it better. Not saying Ryan Gosling as a protagonist is better than Rick Deckard from the original, but he is. I like watching him more. I appreciate his story more. His romance is better. The mystery is better. The way it all unfolds is better. The way it looks is even better. Not to mention the soundtrack score from this movie. The music by Hans Zimmer and Benjamin Wallfisch is so moody, atmospheric. The nice homages in the soundtrack to the original. The electronic... It's electronic synth, very much like the 80s, but then it's got other moody, atmospheric stuff to it. It's just beautiful to listen to. I love it. And to quickly touch upon it, this isn't an action movie. This is a detective noir mystery drama. very moody, very hard sci-fi. But there is some action in the movie, and I'll just say, when they do have their action, it's badass. Ryan Gosling, like, I buy that that guy can do a Bane move, like break someone over his knee. I was like, I was worried about getting in an elevator with the guy. Now I'm just scared of him in general. Yeah, Blade Runner 2049. I like the original. This one just, every possible way it could have succeeded and been better, it did in my opinion. The aesthetic is more of what I appreciate. And the original had a similar aesthetic. It's just Denis Villeneuve's sensibilities are probably better than that of Ridley Scott's. The acting, everything, the look, everything about the movie. I'm just gushing about it like a nerd, like how much I love it, because I do. It is probably my favorite movie of the year, the best thing I've seen this year. I was more than happy with it. It expanded upon all the interesting ideas of being a replicant, and does that mean you have a soul? What is it to actually be a replicant? They're not quite human, but they have so many human feelings, sensibilities. They're almost human. Are they missing a soul? What does that really mean to have a soul and be human? And we get to explore replicants in this movie and identify with them emotionally and really care about them a lot. And there's one specific idea in this movie, the one big major plot point in the movie that was a big surprise to me. It's like what the movie eventually becomes about. Like, here's what we're actually about right now. Here's the whole thing we want to explore. When that came up, I was like my mind exploded everywhere, and I was like, that is fucking cool. I like that a lot. It's really interesting. I don't want to spoil it. I want everyone to go see it and enjoy it. I highly recommend you watch Blade Runner 2049. I would give it an A+. Best thing I've seen so far this year. I know, I'm a fanboy for it. What can I do? It's how I feel. I adore it. Comment below, tell me your thoughts on Blade Runner 2049, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.